Hello, everyone. We are live. This is Chala Dinkoy, CEO and founder of the Repositioning Expert, coming to you live with a Tuesday tea time with Chala and Andrea today. We have a special guest, my favorite client, one of my favorite clients. She's special guesting on today's Tuesday tea time because she has had a success. 60K in 60 days is going to be the title of this one. And welcome, Andrea. Tell us what you do and who you help.
Yes. Hello. I'm Andrea Eimers. I actually am the co-founder of Workplace Wellness Incorporated. We started it a couple years ago, though I've been developing the whole program since. But we actually just started our launch and we hired Chala to help us out with our launch because while we have a lot of experience as a smaller boutique company, we wanted to start seeing if we could expand this and take this to another level. We have a virtual app as well as an on-site consulting service that we offer companies for a holistic wellness experience. So that could be fitness, nutrition, mindfulness, any sort of consultation or help that companies need to outsource when they can't afford to bring in their own employee. So it's a little
Mhm.
bit of a background.
That is wonderful. And it's so needed right now. You want to talk a little bit about what you found out from all the research?
Oh yeah, I mean there's been a lot of research, so we're seeing a lot of problems, but the biggest one that we're seeing is the job market right now and how everyone's wanting that perfect opportunity that's remote and hybrid, but they want to be appreciated by their employer while also getting the autonomy. So it's a very become very disconnected because of the pandemic that we just all went through, and we're trying to kind of reconnect that workforce into, as you were saying, a topic wellness that's very well needed, not only because just to get better health with everyone, but because of the pandemic that we're just now getting over.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I love it. And for many years, you not only were in the corporate world, but also, you're a trainer, right? Like you're a
Yes.
physical trainer. And so, and you had already worked with coaches in the past. So, what kind of a different experience were you looking for when we met?
You know, the experience I had in the past wasn't good or bad. It really was just it wasn't a fit necessarily. So the person I was working with in the past, it just wasn't someone that was interested necessarily in the wellness field. So
Mm,
while he was, trying to help out in any way that he could, it wasn't his thing.
mm,
And what we liked about what your services was one, your niche is diversity, and we are a woman-owned business,
mhm.
um, but also too, you're very into wellness on a personal note yourself.
Yeah.
So it really helps when you have a coach that has a passion as well for what you're doing, because they want to see similar success. I mean, they all want to see success, but you'll work harder if you like what you're doing or who you're working with, essentially.
But you did not know that I was into fitness when you saw me speak at the conference because
Mm-mm.
I was at my top weight. I was could barely breathe in my dress. So that's probably not why you hired me. So what was the thing that you thought I could bring on?
Well, what I also liked was that you have experience with big businesses too.
Mm,
So, like I was saying, we have a boutique staffing firm that we also own, the other co-founder and I. And what I liked is that we really want to take this to the next level. We
mm.
want to take this to make it grow and expand it into something bigger. And that's kind of your specialty because you do diversity businesses, but you've had experience in the larger corporate world to have a better understanding of what they want.
Yeah. And that's exactly, how to go from like this boutique to
Yep.
that bigger, um, not a behemoth, but at least to be able to start to talk to the bigger guys,
Yes.
you have to
Yep.
at least look like you're a little bit bigger than just a tiny boutique, right? So
Exactly. Yep.
that's why we're working together. So tell me, describe for the people who are watching this, what was the process that you've been going through to actually figure out how to position yourself?
Yeah, so I went through a lot of the marketing research calls where I called all these different decision makers that could sign for if they were to
Mhm.
participate in this program. And I asked them, we had about five different problems or so that we were seeing in the corporate world when it came to this issue with wellness and incorporating a wellness program. And so I went through all those problems with them and tried to figure out which problem was we were seeing the most with. And I kind of narrowed it down to a few target audiences based off of my experience and where I think that I could thrive in essentially. So through those calls, we had decided because we already have such a good network with our staffing in automotive and with, medium-sized corporations to start there because what they're struggling with the most is reconnecting a disengaged workforce. And what I found not only is we have some connections through staffing, but also automotive, it seems to have been a very underserved market when it
Mm.
comes to wellness because you see a lot of other industries saying, "Oh yeah, we have one already." And whether or not it's working for them, it's is it time for them to want to implement a whole new one? Well, in automotive, we're seeing that there's not really many options for them or they don't really know what to do or where to start. So, through
I
that marketing research, I learned that.
Yeah, and like one of the things that I learned through your research was
Mhm.
that I love the fact that they're underserved in the automotive industry, and you happen to be in Detroit, right?
Yes. Yep, correct.
So, and so that's a perfect marriage. But the other part I love is that there's some sort of like exclusivity to this the sort of she thing about wellness that the average Joe just doesn't feel included in.
Yep.
So that's kind of what you taught me, is that this is what they're telling us, this is what they're playing back, that they want
Mhm.
inclusive programs, that they
Yep.
want everyone needs to feel part of the same, and fitness can play a role in actually bringing them together from this hybrid and like disconnected workforce.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, we see a lot of those in automotive in particular, travel is very prominent. And a lot of these on-site wellness programs are awesome. Nothing against them. However, those travel people never get to participate in them. And sometimes, offering gym memberships is awesome, but sometimes it's only offered to corporate and not production. And so there's not really an option that really includes everyone to where people feel wanted or cared for by their employer.
Yeah. So I thought that was really great. So tell us about the big success. So tell us about the 60 and 60. I love that title.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was a one of our staffing clients. So yes, we already had the contact, but what I was able to do that I didn't think I would have been able to do before is kind of go at it confidently in a sense. And now I'm working with way more employees than I ever thought that I could. So and it really was because me and you had met at a conference beginning of June, and we didn't really start working together kind of toward the end.
Mhm.
And we actually just signed about a week or two ago, the end of August. So there we go, 60/60. What it was nice about it was learning that I can kind of go into it with more confidence and knowing what I'm selling and trying to really dive into the problem that they're facing
Mm,
and say that, I can't really solve this problem unless we really push ourselves to work with all your employees, every single one, which
mhm.
then we hadn't turned found out was about a little under 1,000. So I never thought that I would ever get the opportunity to work with that many employees and as one of my first clients. So
Wow, I'm so
yeah.
proud of you. I mean, so to be clear, you have a background in like calling, because you have a background in doing outreach
Mhm.
when you worked in that industry,
Yep.
in the staffing industry. So you were somewhat comfortable, would you say, with, phoning and doing outreach and doing research, right? So,
Yep.
like what then was the difficult part for you in this process? Was it the sales conversation? Was it asking for the money? Like which part was the hardest for you? Because phoning wasn't.
No, I don't think phoning was. I think it was yeah, getting on the phone and calling somebody, any sort of insecurity or intimidation with that is really zero. Yeah, and that's just because I had so much experience calling people for job opportunities.
Mhm.
And no one really likes, I mean, there's a bad rap with staffing firms, so it was difficult to kind of get people to be like, is this an actual serious thing? So picking up the phone wasn't. I think it was finding my own personal style.
Mm,
So, like with your help providing the questions, you're pretty much saying like these are the questions, but it does take time to find your style and
mm,
how you want to, ask it while still getting the answers we need, but
yeah,
feeling comfortable asking it in your own way. So I think that's what it was for me because at first I think it felt a little robotic. And I
yeah.
was trying to be like, what about it was robotic? And I was like, I think I just have to trust my own flair to it while
Mhm.
still getting the answers we need.
So that's a really great advice, actually. That is really
Mhm.
great advice. So, like, um, what do you take away from the the process that I taught you versus what you would have done on your own in going forward and like making this a bigger company?
Yeah, I think what I probably would have done, if I didn't like get this help was I probably just would have said, let's just start with your Michigan office and, work with just 100 employees and see how that goes and not have like the confidence in myself to say, no, this program really won't work if I only offer it to some of your employees. It really needs to be offered to all of them. And so I wouldn't have gone. I think I could have maybe gotten it, but not to the height that I got it, not to the same amount of money and the same amount of employees that I ended up closing it for. So that's where I think that what's really helped me was when you were on the phone, you were like, just ask for all the employees. Like just present it that way. So I think it was learning the confidence and approaching it and saying, no, let's go for it all and see what happens. So
But what I love about you is that you don't argue, you do it. See,
Yep.
you don't let maybe it's because of your background in, in staffing and how much rejection you got. Maybe it's
Yeah.
because you have entrepreneurs in the family. Maybe
Yep.
it's because of your personality. I don't know what it is, but you don't have the I can't do it thing.
Mhm.
You don't put up barriers to me.
I
So that
think I think a lot of it probably is my, 'cause in staffing, you get a lot of rejection. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, how was that? Oh, they said no. Was it tough?" And I was like, "Not really. You just move on and you just go on to the next one because, in the end, you realize it's not everyone's cup of tea, but you have to at least try to find that out."
No,
Yeah.
but what I also love about you is that like you're willing to try completely new and bigger things. Like I've asked you to do executive roundtables. You're like way ahead of me. I've asked you to go and speak at conferences. You're way ahead of me. You're willing to, able to, you're like, sky's the limit. So yeah, kudos to
It's
you.
Thank you. No, it's been a journey, but I'm feeling every day I get more and more confident. So I'm hoping we can only go upwards and forward, what that saying is.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yep.
Now, I'm the repositioning expert. So, coming from a fitness company, a wellness company, we have
Mhm.
repositioned you into the hybrid employee engagement company. Um, how do you feel about that change? Like, does that bring anything different, or do you feel like it's I'm selling the same thing?
No, I think before what we were doing was really trying to push the app and kind of just the app that we had developed. And I think that by kind of making it more consulting and virtual and um kind of what me and you had talked about, the a la carte, where we can kind of build their own sort of wellness program that can be, like we're saying, virtual consultation through Zoom or using the app or whatever it may be. So how I feel about it now is I feel like it might sound corny, but it feels like more like the sky's the limit now because
Yeah,
I feel like I have a lot more that I can expand and offer upon,
yeah,
because I'm kind of positioning myself in that way. That makes sense.
yeah.
So,
That's amazing. So, what
yeah.
advice do you have for people who are either thinking of doing this program or who have just started this program so they can succeed?
You know, I guess the best advice I could give is just to have more confidence in yourself than you think.
Mm,
I think that it is tough to pick up the phone. I mean, that wasn't necessarily my struggle, but like I said, I struggled with learning my own style and how to do it to where I didn't feel robotic. So there's always going to be a struggle, but like just have confidence. Because if I wasn't able to have the confidence, I wouldn't have tried to get as much as I did with this sale. So
that's awesome. That
yeah.
is so awesome. Well, and how could our viewers reach you, Andrea?
They can reach me by email, phone number, LinkedIn, Andrea DeRosa Eimers. I have my email I could share, phone number, however.
And
Yeah.
website? What's the URL?
It is workplacewellnessus.com.
Very nice. Thank you
Yes.
so much for being a tea time. We didn't really see your
Thanks for
teeth.
having me.
We'll see your teeth. I know.
See ya.
Have a good one. Thanks again.
Bye bye.
Take care.